Welcome back to Second Chance Hearts, where lost loves find their way home. Today, you'll meet Ellie Vance and Kaelen Thorne, two souls who were given up for gone until life played the most beautiful encore. Come sit close, just you and me, like we're sharing coffee on a quiet evening. All you have to do is breathe and listen. I promise this one will feel like it was whispered just for you. The scent of pine and cinnamon mingled with the subtle, salty tang of the Pacific, clinging to the air of Santa Barbara. Inside Coastal Charm, Eleanor Vance, known to most as Ellie, meticulously arranged a display of artisanal candles. At 46, her hands, still nimble, had a quiet grace, reflecting years of curating beauty. Christmas was just days away, and the boutique hummed with a festive energy that, for Ellie, often felt like a bittersweet symphony. Each familiar carol on the vintage radio was a whisper from a past she'd long since packed away, carefully, in the attic of her heart. She adjusted a snowflake ornament, her gaze drifting to the rain-streaked window pane. Beyond the glass, State Street glittered with holiday lights, blurring into streaks of gold and ruby through the soft drizzle. The ache wasn't new, merely amplified by the season. It was the ache of the road not taken, a melody unfinished. She'd built a wonderful life, a successful business, a comfortable home filled with art and warmth. But there was always a phantom limb of longing, a quiet echo of what might have been. A small chime above the door announced a new customer. Ellie straightened, smoothing down the front of her deep emerald cashmere sweater, a small habitual gesture she made when she felt a flicker of apprehension. She looked up, ready with her practiced, warm smile. The smile froze, dissolving slowly from her lips like sugar in hot tea. Standing just inside, shaking droplets from his dark, subtly tailored wool coat, was Kaelen Thorne. 52 now, the years had chiseled his jawline, silvered the temples of his dark hair, and deepened the lines around his eyes that were still the precise shade of a stormy ocean, and currently wide with an echo of her own shock. He held a sleek, modern smartphone in one hand, but his gaze, when it met hers across the boutique, felt like a message delivered by carrier pigeon, traversing decades. Kaelen? The name was a fragile whisper, a memory given form. It tasted of youth and whispered promises, of a time when the world was wide open and their futures were inextricably linked.
Ellie?
His voice, a low rumble she remembered vividly, was now richer, imbued with the timbre of experience. He paused, his hand running through his slightly damp hair, a mannerism that hadn't changed in 25 years. His eyes, though stunned, held a profound, almost yearning recognition. The bustling boutique, the holiday music, the very air itself seemed to thin, leaving only the two of them suspended in a bubble of rediscovered history. What are you doing here? Her heart, usually so steady, began a frantic, erratic beat against her ribs. She felt a flush rise to her cheeks, the unexpectedness of it all a jolt to her carefully constructed composure. She instinctively reached for the small silver pendant tucked beneath her sweater, a subtle nervous habit.
I live here now. Have for a few years. I didn't realize this was your shop.
He gestured vaguely around the beautifully curated space, his gaze lingering on a framed watercolor that depicted a familiar Santa Barbara coastline, a painting Ellie had done herself years ago. There was an unspoken apology in his eyes, a regret that simmered beneath the surface of his calm demeanor.
Oh.
That single syllable held a universe of surprise, relief, and a burgeoning fear. He lived here for years, and she hadn't known. The thought twisted something deep inside her.
You look wonderful, Ellie. Just as I remember.
His gaze was soft, encompassing, and for a fleeting moment she felt 19 again, standing on the edge of the Pacific, the salt spray on her skin, his hand in hers. She felt the full ache of lost time, a sudden, sharp pang that stole her breath. "You do too, Kaelen, though with more distinguished gray." A small, shy smile touched his lips, transforming his face, and Ellie felt a familiar warmth spread through her chest. It was the same smile that had once disarmed her, captivated her, made her believe in forever.
The hazards of, well, living.
He chuckled, a low, melodic sound. Then the smile faded, and a more serious expression settled on his features. He took a hesitant step closer, the distance between them feeling vast and insurmountable, yet fragile enough to shatter with a single touch.
Ellie, I know this is probably the last thing you expected or wanted, but would you be willing to grab a coffee sometime? Just to catch up. No pressure.
He watched her intently, his brow slightly furrowed, a flicker of vulnerability in his deep-set eyes. He tapped his fingers lightly against his phone, a subtle sign of his own inner tension. I don't know, Kaelen. A lot has changed." She looked away, her gaze settling on the rain-streaked street outside, trying to gather her thoughts, to rein in the sudden tempest of emotions. The idea of revisiting the past, even superficially, was daunting. It was like opening a box of exquisitely painful, cherished memories.
I understand, but this isn't just a chance encounter for me. I've thought about you, Ellie, more than you know, and I never stopped wondering.
His voice was earnest, a quiet intensity that cut through her defenses. He didn't push, but the sincerity was palpable. Ellie looked back at him, really seeing him now. The confidence he exuded, the quiet power, was still there, but softened by a mature thoughtfulness.
All right, just coffee.
She conceded, the word feeling both reckless and inevitable. A tiny spark, long dormant, ignited within her. Kaelen's face lit up, that shy smile returning, broader this time.
Thank you, Ellie. Truly. How about tomorrow? The Santa Barbara Roasting Company, around 3.
3 works.
As he turned to leave, promising to be on time, Ellie watched him go, a tremor running through her. The door chimed again, marking his departure. The boutique felt suddenly colder, emptier, yet also charged with a new, exhilarating energy. She picked up her phone, her thumb hovering over Kaelen's old, memorized number, a number she hadn't dialed in decades, knowing it was likely long disconnected. She looked down at the silver pendant, turning it between her fingers. It was a tiny compass rose, a gift from him long ago.
The next afternoon, the rain had cleared, leaving Santa Barbara air crisp and clean. Ellie found Kaelen already seated at a window table in the bustling coffee shop, a steaming mug cradled in his hands. He was wearing a casual linen shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms, and a pair of dark jeans. He looked comfortable, at ease, yet his eyes still held that searching intensity when she approached.
Ellie, you made it.
He rose, a polite, old-fashioned gesture that surprised and pleased her. She felt a nervous flutter, smoothing her hair back behind her ear.
Wouldn't miss it.
They settled into their chairs, the clatter of coffee cups and low chatter of patrons forming a comforting buffer. They spoke of surface things first, their careers, Ellie's successful boutique, Kaelen's work as an architect with a firm specializing in sustainable design. He'd lived in Seattle and San Francisco, but something had drawn him back to Santa Barbara a few years prior. He didn't elaborate. Not yet.
So, coastal charm. It's beautiful, Ellie, just like everything you touch. Do you still paint?
He leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping, seeking a deeper connection. Occasionally, when I find the time, it's hard to carve it out with the shop. She picked at a loose thread on her sweater, avoiding his gaze. The warmth of the coffee mug in her hands was a welcome distraction.
I remember your art. It always had such soul, just like you.
His compliment, delivered with such sincerity, sent a jolt through her. She looked up, met his gaze, and felt the familiar pull, the old magnetic force. You haven't changed, Kaelen, always knowing exactly what to say.
And you, always deflecting.
He offered another gentle smile, but his eyes were serious.
Ellie, I didn't just want to talk about the weather or our jobs. I've wanted to ask you something for a long time. Why, why did you never reply?
The question hung in the air, heavy and thick. Ellie's breath hitched. She twisted the silver compass pendant under her sweater, her throat suddenly tight. Reply to what, Kaelen? His brow furrowed in confusion. He ran a hand through his hair.
My letters, my calls, after I left for the internship in New York. I told you I'd be back. I said I'd call. I called. I wrote, Ellie, pages of it, telling you I missed you, that I regretted leaving without a real goodbye. I poured my heart out, and I never heard a word back. I figured you'd moved on, that it was over for you.
Ellie stared at him, her mind reeling. Letters? Calls? She'd received nothing, only a deafening silence that had slowly, painfully broken her heart. I never received anything, Kaelen. Not a single letter, not a single call. I waited and waited. I even called your old number in New York, the one you gave me, but it was disconnected. I thought you'd simply forgotten me, moved on. Her voice was raw, tinged with the pain of an old, festering wound suddenly ripped open. She felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. This was the complexity, the subtext, the hidden backstory he'd spoken of. A misunderstanding, a lost connection.
Disconnected? No, it was a landline at my uncle's apartment. It worked. I swear, Ellie, I even mailed them with return addresses. You should have gotten them.
He looked genuinely bewildered, a deep sadness clouding his features.
And I wrote to you too, Kaelen. After a month of silence, I wrote to your uncle's address, a long letter, telling you how much I missed you, how much I loved you. I put everything into that letter, and I never got a reply either. I convinced myself you didn't care enough to even let me down gently.
The truth, a bitter pill, settled between them. The ache wasn't just for lost time, but for a lost truth. They had both believed the other had simply walked away, uncaring, when in reality, their youthful attempts at connection had simply vanished.
My uncle, he was a bit of a pack rat and a drinker. Sometimes things went astray in his apartment. He moved shortly after I did. Could he have, I don't know, he wasn't always reliable.
My parents, they were always wary of you, of me being with an older man, even just a few years. They wanted me to focus on college, on my future. They could have.
The unspoken implication hung heavy. Could her protective, somewhat controlling parents have intercepted his letters, fearing he'd derail her plans? Or could his uncle, in a drunken haze, have misplaced hers? It was impossible to know for certain now, but the realization that neither had intentionally abandoned the other was a revelation that shook Ellie to her core.
All these years, we both thought the worst.
His hand reached across the table, hovering for a moment, then gently covering hers. His skin was warm, a solid, comforting presence. Ellie didn't pull away. Instead, she turned her hand, her fingers brushing his, a shiver running through her.
All those years, the wasted anger, the heartbreak, thinking you just forgot.
Her voice cracked, a lone tear tracing a path down her cheek. Kaelen's thumb gently brushed it away. The intimacy of the gesture, the tender understanding in his eyes, was overwhelming.
Never, Ellie, not a day. Every significant building I designed, every sunset over a new city, there was always a part of me that wondered what you'd think, if you were happy.
And I saw your name, sometimes in architecture magazines. A quiet pride, a pang of what if. And I'd turn the page. The raw honesty of the moment stripped away decades of pretense and self-protection. The spark, always there, now flared into a full, incandescent flame. The aching regret was still present, but now it was tempered by a profound sense of hope. The holidays. They always make me nostalgic. And then I saw your shop, and you. It felt like destiny, a second chance. Do you believe in those, Ellie?
He held her gaze, his eyes searching hers, full of renewed longing. The scent of fresh coffee, the distant sound of a passing bus faded into the background. All that mattered was the steady beat of her own heart, thrumming in time with his.
I think I'm finally ready to.
A fragile smile bloomed on her face, mirroring his. She squeezed his hand gently.
There's a Christmas Eve gala at the Santa Barbara Historical Museum. It's a formal affair, but would you consider coming with me? Not as a date, not yet. Just a chance to see where this goes. To create new memories.
He watched her expectantly, his quiet intensity burning. He ran his fingers through his hair again, a hint of nervousness showing.
I'd love to, Kaelen.
The words felt lighter than air, a promise whispered from a heart that had finally found its way home. Christmas Eve dawned, clear and bright, a sparkling diamond of a day after weeks of rain. Ellie stood before her mirror, admiring the deep blue velvet dress she'd chosen, a subtle nod to the color of Kaelen's eyes. She pinned a small sparkling brooch to her lapel, her hands steady, her heart surprisingly calm. The apprehension was still there, a soft hum, but it was overshadowed by a burgeoning excitement, a hope she hadn't dared to feel in years.
Kaelen arrived promptly, looking distinguished in a charcoal suit, a silver tag catching the light. When she opened the door, a genuine warmth spread across his face, that shy, transformative smile making her pulse quicken.
You look breathtaking, Ellie. His gaze was reverent, appreciative, and she felt a blush rise to her cheeks. She instinctively smoothed down her dress, then let her hand fall, allowing herself to simply be in his presence. And you, Kaelen, very dapper. The ride to the museum was filled with easy conversation, a comfortable silence interspersed with shared laughter. They talked about the architecture of Santa Barbara, about old friends they both still remembered, about the changing landscape of their shared hometown. The atmosphere was charged, not with tension, but with an unspoken promise, a delicate dance of anticipation. Inside the historical museum, bathed in the soft glow of fairy lights and towering Christmas trees, the air hummed with festive cheer. They mingled, made polite conversation, but always their eyes found each other across the room. Kaelen guided her gently towards a quieter alcove, where an antique clock chimed softly in the corner. The scent of pine and old wood filled the air.
Ellie?
He turned to face her fully, his hand reaching out, resting gently on her arm. His touch was electric, a current that had lost none of its power over the decades. Kaelen. She met his gaze, the stormy ocean of his eyes holding hers captive. All the unspoken words, the years of regret, the burgeoning hope swirled between them.
I'm so glad we found each other again, that we understood. It's like a weight has been lifted.
Me too. It's profound to finally know the truth. He stepped closer, their faces inches apart. She could feel the warmth radiating from him, smell the subtle scent of his cologne. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She didn't look away. Not this time.
Ellie?
She met his gaze, the stormy ocean of his eyes holding hers captive. All the unspoken words, the years of regret, the burgeoning hope swirled between them.
I'm so glad we found each other again, that we understood. It's like a weight has been lifted.
Me too. It's profound to finally know the truth. He stepped closer, their faces inches apart. She could feel the warmth radiating from him, smell the subtle scent of his cologne. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She didn't look away, not this time.
I don't want to waste another minute, Ellie. Not another holiday season wondering. What do you say? Shall we try? Truly try.
His voice was a low murmur, filled with raw emotion and quiet strength. He wasn't asking for a fleeting romance. He was asking for a future, for the chapters they'd both been yearning for. Yes, Kaelen. Oh, yes. Her answer was barely a whisper, but it held all the certainty in her soul. He leaned in, slowly, giving her every opportunity to pull away. But she didn't. Her eyes fluttered closed as his lips, soft and hesitant at first, then firm and full of years of suppressed longing, finally met hers. It wasn't a kiss of fiery youth, but one of mature tenderness, of shared history and renewed promises. It was a kiss that tasted of regret acknowledged, of forgiveness freely given, and of a future finally, gloriously reclaimed. Around them, the Christmas lights shimmered, and the soft strains of a holiday waltz drifted through the air. For Ellie Vance and Kaelen Thorne, a second chance wasn't just a wish for the holidays, it was a beautiful, tangible reality, a serenade to a love that had patiently waited to play its final, most beautiful movement. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear that second chances are real. Please like, share, and subscribe to keep us spreading love and hope.